In this video, I'm going to go through a track repair process. I will be repairing this bridge track here, which looks pretty fine. However, it's causing derailments with my 6-axle diesels. The 4-axle diesels and freight cars handle this curve just fine, but the 6-axle diesels pretty reliably derail. There are two problems with this bridge track here. Well, first of all, I'm using Peco code 80 track for my regular rail, and the bridge track itself is microengineering code 55. Now you can actually mix and match these two types of tracks, but you just need to be careful and lift the code 50 up a little bit. In my haste to finish the project here, I neglected to do the proper procedures for fusing these two tracks together correctly, and as a result, like I said, my 4-axle diesels handle it just fine, but the steam engines and the 6-axle diesels don't work fine. This is a 11-inch radius track here. There are two specific problems. One of them is, since this bridge is at a curve, right here and right here, even though it looks fine, there are actually ever so slight kinks in the track because that's where the rail joiners are. And also, there's a very slight elevation difference. It's kind of hard to see right there. I actually lifted actually buried the code 80 track, and I filed the top a little bit to make it basically make it workable, and it works fine for code 50 or for smaller engines, but I really need to be able to run my 6-axle diesels because that's what the kids want to run. Anyway, so what I'll be doing for this repair is I'm going to disconnect it from here, remove the code 55 track, and then cut the mainline track somewhere around here and replace this whole section with one piece of code 80 track. It's probably not going to look as nice on the bridge itself, but I'm going for functionality over looks for this one. I started out by lifting the bridge track off the bridge. As you can see, I was able to lift it. Some of these the track didn't come off clean, but I can fix that later. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and clip the rails somewhere right around here. So with these rail clippers, I now clip the rails. So I'm going to use this X-Acto knife to try to pry the rail out. It's held in place by glue and also with the ballast. This end is going to come out pretty easy because it's just, I didn't solder this, which was another mistake I made. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and start prying that off. What I did was I pried the end of it up a little bit, and then I'm sliding this metal ruler in just to try to damage the road bed as minimally as possible. So I'm lifting the rail up a little bit while at the same time sliding the ruler in, and it's coming out I'm going to have to redo the ballasting here. I was so thrilled that I was done with that, but this is a relatively short section, so it's not going to be that big a problem. Now I got to be really careful here because I'm getting closer to the bridge. I don't want to damage the trestle. I was able to pry this up, and now I'm just going to detach it from the bridge. There we go. There's a little piece there. Woof! It's off. And now I'm gonna go ahead and remove the bridge track. I had already unattached it, so a little bit juggling back and forth. There we go. Some of the pieces, oh, I forgot what these were called, but anyway, they came off. But what I plan to do is I'm gonna remove them from this track and then glue them back on the trestle, and then just lay the track on top. So anyway, part one done. We removed the track, so now I gotta clean this whole thing up and fix the trestle and then put the new rail in. Alright, I just cleaned this up a little bit. This is what it looks like after removing the track, and this is what the trestle is now looking like. I got the pieces of stringers sorted, so I'm just going to go ahead and glue the stringers back here. Normally you would glue them to the bottom of the track, but I don't want to mess with it. I just want to put them in place. And there's a bus coming, taking advantage of the fact that there is no railroad there. What's that bus doing? Anyway, I guess the construction crew forgot to put some warning signs, and we have a tourist accident or tourist disaster here with the tour bus going into the water off the trestle. Alrighty. Since I'm going to be using code 80 track, regular code 80 flex track to build the bridge, what I'm doing is I'm cutting the ties, the back of the ties a little bit, like right so. Let's see if I can do it while holding the camera. So I'm cutting the gaps between the ties and then just taking them off. Like that. It's a little harder to do with just one hand while holding the camera, and then I just slide these through to the end, and in the end, and when you flip it over, it looks just like a bridge track. I think this was Moose's idea in one of the forum threads, so it actually looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy, and since I'm not careful, it's uneven, and that actually adds to the appearance, in my opinion, a little bit. So it's kind of like not completely uniform. Alright, I finished cutting the gaps between the ties, and then pushed these rest of the ties forward, so that this is my bridge track, and then it basically continues on to the mainline connection of the regular track. But the important thing is there's going to be no gaps and no rail joiners, so hopefully that'll take care of the derailment issues that I've been having. As it turns out, I measured it, and this is about like a 5.5 inch long bridge track, and when I cut the gaps in the ties and then pushed the other ties forward, I'm losing about 3.5 inches of rail. So it's not exactly 1-to-1, but pretty close. So, but I think that the gain in reliability, potential gain in reliability, and the looks is worth it. And just to compare, this here is the Code 55 microengineering bridge track, and this is Code 80 Peco track, which I cut the gaps in the back. Here's a close-up, and I mean the microengineering track is definitely superior, but in appearance-wise, I think it's pretty close. Well, maybe not, but close enough for my purposes. I connected the track back in its spot. I have a pretty nice connection here, and this is gonna just curve in and connect here, and I think that I just have enough track to make this connection. So, whoops, as you can see, I haven't soldered it yet, so as soon as my trusty soldering iron is ready. I'm going to go ahead and solder this track right at this joint here, and then I'll be able to do the rest. Meanwhile, let me give you a shot of the new approach to our transportation on our railway. Alright, I just finished soldering the track. It's firmly connected to the other piece now. As you can see, I'm wiggling it, and it's pretty neat. I'm going to have to just gently sand this a little bit because I put a little bit too much solder on this side here, as you can see. So let me go ahead and take care of that. I have some 600 grit sandpaper here. I'm going to run this GP9 over this track right now. The humming in the background is just a analog loco that happens to be on the track right now. Looking good. Oh well, I guess some connectivity issues there. I guess my soldering probably wasn't very good. Well, actually this track I'm using is also very dirty too. So, but seems like it's, I'm looking at the wheels and it's not too bad. This is what the track is now looking like. I put it in, bent it in place. As you can see, it goes all the way to our connection point right here. So I got to clip the rails here, and then add a couple more ties. And actually, this is a good example of the weathering effect you can get using the flow quill markers. The track on the left has been weathered, the track on the right is stock. So anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and clip these right here and then put some rail joiners in and put it in place. And then I gotta glue this down all the way across. And I attached the rail joiners to this end, so that's ready to receive the connection. Here's the bridge track sticking out. I'm going to go ahead and put glue all the way down here and also on the whatever these things called, stringers, yeah, stringers on the trestle. And then I will be weighing them down with these cans. A lot of people use soup cans, but it's springtime, so I'm going to go with fruit. Anyway, I really cannot do the gluing and putting everything in place and taping at the same time, so I'm going to just go ahead and stop now. And here we are. Finally everything's connected. I'm going to wait for the glue to dry, and then I'm going to go ahead and clean this part of the track and give it a test run with the various engines that were giving me problems. We'll see how that goes. Well, here comes the moment of reckoning. This ST70 ACE engine very reliably derailed on this bridge, so here we go. Yay! Let's go backwards, see how that goes. That looks fine. Here, a close up. That's an 11-inch curve for this engine. The key is I eliminated the connection here and also the kinks. So I'm going to go ahead and run the train a little bit here. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and run this around the lap a couple of times at various speeds. That's pretty fast.
One fine day with a whoop and a purr, a baby was born and it caused a little stir. No blue button.
Well, I'm pretty happy, no derailments so far. So I can run my SD70 engine. That's all I wanted to do. Alrighty, and I believe I'm still going to have to finish the weathering and ballasting of this section here. But other than that, I'm pretty much done. And that's the end of it. Thanks for watching.